Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 9. Module 9 is the start of the research paper. So what you've done so far is chosen a research topic. You should have it approved. That was 2 modules ago. And then written an annotated bibliography. That will take a little while. And so just remember that those assignments, all assignments are open for an extra week. For submissions with no late penalty. So if you are still working on your annotated bibliography, that's okay. Just make sure that you get it submitted within the week. And then this unit is, we have a lot fewer things to do, so they should not take you as long, but it's really just preparation for getting your research paper going and getting a rough draft of your research paper going. So I kind of put this in here for a reason. So we're trying to balance out the difficulty level of the assignments. So this module is really just, we're kind of going back to some of the essentials of writing here. You have 2 chapters to read, one on the power of paragraphs. And so that kind of goes all the way back to what are essential parts of a paragraph. So some of that should be review for you. And then you also have a section on just effective sentences and how to really improve your writing style overall. And so I think this is a really valuable chapter. A lot of times students, everybody has their own writing style. And so sometimes students don't really realize that the way that they write should be very reflective of who they are, but you also want to make sure that you're improving your style to the point where it is a little bit more universal for everybody to read. So you want to make sure that you are writing the most effective version of the sentences that you can. So those are the 2 readings that you'll do, and they're listed out here as well. And then you'll also take a quiz over that. So that's the Module 9 readings quiz, and it focuses on those concepts. Like I said, some of it's going to be review for you. And so we have that quiz there, and then the other thing that you're going to do is actually write an outline of your essay. So we're actually getting into the research essay assignment itself. And what your plan should be is you're taking that topic that you used for your bibliography. You are not changing topics at this point. You cannot change your topic. You have to use the same topic that you used for the annotated bibliography. You can expand your topic if you need to, or narrow your topic if you need to, but you cannot change it. So like if you were doing renewable energy to start with and you decide you just want to focus on solar energy, that's fine. If you were just doing solar energy with your annotated bibliography and now you want to expand to do all types of renewable energy, that's fine. You cannot, however, switch from solar energy to squid or something like that. You have to stick within the same topic or within the scope of the same topic. So the idea is that you've got 12 sources now. You know quite a bit of information already about your topic, and you're going to start to dig deeper into those sources because now you're going to start putting all that information together into an essay. First step is an outline. And so we're really going to focus on what makes a good thesis and how to write a good outline. So your essay itself, once we get to it, which is going to be in several modules, so you have quite a few steps to this process, but your goal with this essay is to write an overall persuasive, not necessarily argumentative essay. And what I mean by that is you have a purpose and a focus to your essay, but you're making an assertion rather than an argument for most of you. If you have an argumentative topic, you certainly can do a traditional argument with it, and that's fine. But most students will choose, it's called expository writing, and it's kind of an informative path. So basically we're providing information, and that's kind of the main goal is just providing information. But rather than just being a knowledge dump about the topic like an encyclopedia article would be, it is a focus path of information. So we have what's called an assertion with respect to a general topic. So you're going to be really focusing that information. What is it that the main thing that you want your readers to get out of it? You have to use at least 8 sources in this essay, so just keep in mind you have 12 so far. You may end up needing to find more, and that's fine, but you'll need at least 8 at the end of writing the essay. So you have a lot of options for those sources that you might use. You'll be using lots of signal phrases, in-text citations, quotes, paraphrases. You'll notice research is in the title of the assignment, which means that all this stuff is what you're going to be graded on, is actually including that research. Okay, so that probably the biggest mistake that I see students make is they'll just write information and they won't have any references to sources, and it's just like fact after fact after fact, and there's no, or it's just kind of vague general ideas, and there's nothing that comes from sources or clearly comes from sources, and that's the whole point of this essay. So make sure that you're including tons of research. If you have opposing viewpoints, you can acknowledge them, but you don't need to. That's not a requirement. The main thing that is a requirement is that use of sources, and then making sure that you are establishing credibility, ethos, logos, and pathos, avoiding second person, things like that. And then you will have a separate works cited list, and so the sources that you use in the essay will go on a sheet by themselves, so you're not copying and pasting the annotated bibliography. You're not using any part of the annotated bibliography other than the works cited entries. Those you can copy and paste, that's fine. And then you're writing an actual essay, you synthesizing those sources together, and then you'll have an actual works cited with this particular essay. It is 7 to 9 pages long, so it is a longer essay. For some students, this is the longest essay they write in college, and for some of you, this is only the beginning. So just keep that in mind. It may be a little bit more challenging for some of you. And so the next thing that you're going to be doing, or the main thing that you're going to be doing, is coming up with an outline. So your outline needs to include your working thesis and then at least 5 main points. I want you to divide out into main points, at least 5 of them. What happens a lot of times is students will kind of get into just, these different ideas that they have, and then when they start writing the draft, they sort of coalesce into about 3 main points, which is fine, but sometimes you want more than that. And so that's why I encourage the minimum of 5 at this point. We want more than what you end up writing about, because it's much harder to expand as you're writing than it is when you're at this stage. So we want as much as we can possibly include in the outline as ideas for the essay. So you can see I've got my sample here, and it's about dinosaurs, because at least my younger son is still likes dinosaurs, so that's good. My older son has no interest in them anymore. But when they were little, we really tried to push the dinosaurs on them, because my husband and I are both big dinosaur fans. So anyway, cultural shift has caused dinosaurs to become an important force in the lives of American children, particularly through film, toys, and the appeal of paleontology. So my working thesis is emphasizing that importance. So that's my assertion. In American children, when we specific to what group of children I'm looking at. And then I have kind of 3 areas that I want to look for. So I need to come up with at least 5, and I've got 6 here of just main topics that I know I want to cover. Generally, you cover topics from general to specific, least complex to most complex, or chronological order, if that works. So in this case, I'm covering like why people have been fascinated with dinosaurs. So I cover kind of the history behind finding fossils, and then why we're fascinated with them, and then children being fascinated with them. When I write my essay, these 2 sections will probably be combined, because you don't necessarily need to cover fascination for both groups, but that's something that I can make a decision about later. Then I talk about film, I talk about toys, I talk about paleontology. Those are the 3 main topics in my thesis statement. So you can see that my thesis, I may need to alter it a little bit after I start writing, but for the most part, I'm kind of trying to follow what I include in the thesis in the same order that I put the thesis. So lots of stuff to think about, lots of stuff to include. And if you have questions as you write your outline, be sure to send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.